Alrighty, I got the chain and everything off and put away until we need it. I'm going to set the motor off and then start working on the metal plate for our motor mount and jack shaft mount. Alrighty, I pulled the motor out of here to do some measurements and stuff like that. This is the plate the motor's going to sit on, and then it'll extend out here past a little ways, then underneath as well. And then I'll have to relocate the grease dessert. While the motor was out, I figured it'd be a good time to throw it on the scale just for the record. So, got her on the little bathroom scale here, and it's showing just about 40 pounds. So for the record, our big motor and bracket and gear, I guess you would say, weighs 40 pounds. And now that we're talking about the gear, it would probably be a good time to talk about gear ratios. Here's the two sprockets off of the bike itself. They had a 45 tooth on the rear and a 15 tooth sprocket on the front. And what we're working with, we have a 54 tooth sprocket on the rear, and we're going with a 10 tooth sprocket on the front. So when they had a 15 tooth and a 45 tooth, I'm thinking they're running about a 3-to-1 gear ratio. But keep in mind that this had a 6-speed transmission on it. So we're not going to be operating with a transmission. So starting off with a 10 tooth gear in the front and a 54 tooth gear in the rear, we're going to have a 5.4-to-1 gear ratio, I believe. So we'll see where that takes us and go from there. Alrighty, doing some quick measurements to figure out how big our motor plate needs to be. Well, our motor plate needs to go from this rubber over to probably about the edge of this bar. And we don't want it to go over much further than this bar right here, because that's where our jack shaft sprocket's going to be. So we're talking maybe 7 inches? No. We'll go with 6.5. And lengthwise, we need to start at this with bracket ends in the back there. Seems to be about 5 inches. We need about 2 inches extra, but we're going to go up to 7 inches. So we want 7 by 6.5. There's a quick mock-up, but we need our motor mounts here to each be about 7 inches long by 6.5 inches wide. And that's how it's going to be in the end. The motor will be mounted to this, on top of this, and our jack shaft pillow blocks will be mounted underneath. And the trailing arm will be inside our box, so to speak. And we'll lock it together with a nut and bolt here in the front to stiffen it up. Hopefully our metal's 7 inches wide. Oof. Now we're only at a little over 6, guys. So reevaluate. It's going to be 6 by 6.5. The metal plate we have to work with ends up being a little over 6 by almost 12.5. So we're going to work with what we have to work with. I'm going to split this plate right in half, so we'll end up with about 2 6 1/4 pieces instead of 6.5. by, say, 6 1/8 maybe, instead of 7. So we reduced widthwise by 1/4 inch, and we reduced lengthwise by 7/8 of an inch. So just a quick comparison up in here. We wanted it to be 7 inches wide to go from the back of the trailing arm bracket, I guess you would say, to there. It'll be 7 inches, 2 inches hanging over. We only got a little over 6. So we'll bring it up about 1/4 inch here. That way we'll still get a good 2-inch overhang in the front and the back. We still got plenty of area to attach it down here. And widthwise, 6 1/4. Yeah, that should work okay. If we have to, we can also bring it in 1/4 inch or so on this side. That way we're not right against that rubber. So that's the plan. We're going to cut that in half and go from there.